Hello, lovely tarot folks. Today I'm here to do a video response to Patsy's Mystical Musings, and this is to talk about hug decks, and so timely given what we're all going through right now globally. So it doesn't matter where you are in our tarot community, you're probably being impacted in some way, shape, or form by the coronavirus and COVID-19 and sheltering at home or self-isolating or quarantine or whatever. And so these are the kinds of times when having some hug decks on hand is probably a really great idea. So I pulled a few tarot decks out. I decided to concentrate just on tarot decks because otherwise it would be a 4-hour video if I included my hug deck oracles, because it just seems like so many oracle decks are hug decks. So I just thought I'd concentrate on tarot. So I wanted to start off with this one, a fairly new one to my collection, called The Modern Witch Tarot by Lisa Sterl and published by Liminal 11. And I included this one because I just wanted to include one Rider-Waite-Smith style deck, because for me, I learned on the Mother piece, but then when I really decided, no, I'm actually really going to learn tarot, I used the Radiant Rider-Waite-Smith. And so that is, I'm comfortable with Rider-Waite-Smith. And so I feel hugged when I'm using Rider-Waite-Smith because it's comforting, you know, kind of like apple pie and chicken pot pie or something like that, being comfort food. So I just pulled a few cards from this deck. It's pretty popular right now, and so I think most everyone is familiar. It is all women pictured, but all types of women, all different sizes and shapes and skin tones and ages. And when I first opened this box, this deck up and went through it the first time, I felt like I was getting a hug. It just made me happy, and using this deck just makes me happy. And so I do use it mainly for readings for myself. Next is the Neo Tarot, and this is by Jericho Mandiber. And this is sort of a funny deck in terms of its packaging, because the book was stuck to the package. And so I know some people were a little more creative about removing the book, but I actually just... So now I have a book with no back, but oh well. I really like this deck a lot. Even just if you look at the cards, the images on the cards, they're inclusive. They're kind of gender neutral. They are somewhat, it's hard to tell. They're androgynous. And I really like that. This is the Hanged Woman. And you can see there's, we don't have these little skinny mini chicks, and so I kind of like that we have sort of a more normal looking body shape. And again, it's inclusive. And the book, I think, is really interesting because it's got the meanings upright and reversed, and then over on the side there's a self-care idea. So for each card there's the upright, reversed, and a self-care activity. And so to me that's very much a hug deck, because it's got ideas for self-care. And I've I've used a few of them, and they're really quite helpful and quite huggy. Next is Sun and Moon Tarot by Vanessa DeCourt, and I just love this deck. It was on my wish list for about 3 years, and finally a couple months ago I just said, oh, forget it, just get it. It's like $15, and it's very sweet, and I like it quite a bit. This is, you can see, this is the Strength card, Queen of Cups. And again, it's inclusive, and it's just sweet and fun and uplifting. It's Thoth based, and so it does have, this is the Hierophant, which is very reminiscent to me of the Hierophant from the Gaian Tarot, which is called the Teacher. And I did not include the Gaian Tarot in my hug decks or Tarot de Saint Croix, because I feel like I include those two decks in every video I do, but I have to say those are both kind of hug decks too. And this is the Princess of Cups. Again, it's Thoth based. And even the Ten of Swords, you can see here, the swords are all around the person. They're not actually literally stabbing them in the back. Ten of Pentacles. So the cards are, the artwork is just kind of sweet and lovely, and yet it's not shy. It's not like they're all, it's not like a sickeningly sweet deck. Here's the Nine of Cups. Love this Magician. Hermit. So we can see we have different ages. This is the Lovers. Oh, I love that. It's I think one of my favorite cards in this deck. So this deck makes me happy to use, and when I use it, I feel like I'm just getting a nice big hug. The next deck is the Magical Dogs, and so when I'm feeling sad, or I'm feeling down, or I'm feeling stressed, I just go to my chocolate lab and get a big old dose of love. Because for me, dogs are some of the most loving creatures on our planet. And they give you unconditional love. And so for me, this deck is a hug deck. Speaking of love, here's the Lovers. And it's Earth Puppy, so this is Page of Pentacles. Ten of Sea, which is Ten of Cups. You can see it's very Rider-Waite-Smith based. Here's the Moon. Ten of Earth, or Ten of Pentacles. This is the Five of Swords. And look at that. Yep, you won, but at what cost, buddy? And are you a little bit of a bully or what? There they all are, standing back, feeling sad and hurt, and you have no friends, but you've got all the goodies. Justice. Like, this is the Four of Wands. Very Rider-Waite-Smith. I love this Fool card. And then this one is my favorite card in this deck. It's the Alpha Female, Fire Alpha Female. So it's the Queen of Wands, and you can see there's no black cat. Good thing, because I don't know about that Roddy and a black cat, but you can see the sunflowers. And I had a female I've had two Rottweilers, but the female Rottweiler I had looked just like this dog, and she was totally an alpha female Queen of Wands. So I really love this deck. I'm sorry, this card a lot. Next is the Baseball Tarot. And just like dogs, baseball is a hug for me. It's something I've been enjoying since I was 5 or 6 years old. I used to watch with my dad. My grandparents were big baseball fans. My grandmother took me to Fenway Park when we were kids, and we watched games and listened to them on the radio together. And I love baseball. It's my favorite time of year, the summer, peanuts, popcorn, family. I love going to the park. I love baseball, even watching it on TV. And so this deck is by Mark Lerner and Laura Phillips. And she is the tarot expert and he is the baseball expert. And it's really, really clever what they've done. So if you know baseball and you know tarot, you'll get the cleverness of this deck. So here we see the Fool is the rookie. So, of course, that's a baseball term, but how perfect to call the Fool the rookie. And then card 5, Major Trump 5 is the manager instead of the Hierophant. And, of course, the manager is the teacher, and, he's the one that runs the show. Justice is the umpire, which is so clever because that's where the justice comes from in baseball. Hanged man is slump, which again is a baseball term when you're not hitting. 13, the death card, is retirement. So that's the end. That's your transition. You're done. The devil, you could see this guy's plays for the Devils, is called the goat. And I know now that term goat is used in sports for greatest of all time, but it used to mean the opposite of that. You struck out at that moment when the team really needed a hit, and so you're the goat. You let the team down. You're the bad one. And here is 16. Whole new ball game, and you can see the score here is 4-1, and whenever there's lightning, the game is called off, at least temporarily, if not rescheduled, because it's really dangerous for folks sitting in the stand and for the players out on the field when there's lightning. 20, Judgment, is the rule book. And of course, it makes perfect sense that 21 is the World Series for the World card. We have the suits. This is the Ace of Balls, is air or swords. Ace of Bats is wands or fire. Ace of Mitts is cups or water, and then Ace of Bases is pentacles. Here we see a couple of the minors. This is the Two of Pentacles pick-off. I love this. This is the 5 of Wands, rhubarb, which again is a baseball term for when they get into a bit of a mix-up or a fight, physical fight out on the field. I like this deck because it does include females. And here we see Coach of Bats. So here, I think that is the king. You could see helping out the young one there, learning the game. So this is a deck that I love to use, especially this time of years in spring when baseball season is just starting. And it's one of the decks, it's a deck that I use to do a predictive reading. I hardly ever do. I do like a year ahead spread for myself, but I really don't do predictive readings. But I always pull out this deck around this time of year to see if my team is going to make it to the playoffs or not. And I haven't done that yet, but I will do that at some point. Of course, now we don't really know when the season's going to start, but anyway. Another hug deck that I really love, and it's very sweet, and I mean it's not sickeningly sweet. It's not like cotton candy. There's some highs and lows in it, but it's called Taro Fauna, and it's by Devin Strickler, and the artist is Brittany Burkhardt, and I love this artwork. I just love it. The suits are, here we see feathers for swords. And this is, pulled this out because it's a 3 of swords, and they have portrayed it, differently than we normally see in a Rider-Waite-Smith style deck. This is the King of Shells, so shells for water. Hello. And I love owls, and I love otters and bears. This is the Pentacles, Ace of Rocks, so the bears are the pentacles. Here's the 9 of Shells. The torches or the wands are fox. So these are like 4 of my favorite animals: fox, bear, otter, and owl. It's just very sweet and very huggy. It's an independently produced deck. I think you can still get it from Devin's website. I'm not sure. Oh, I love this. There's the High Priestess, is a raven. This is one of my favorites. This is the King of Pentacles. Fabulous. Look at our little friends, the otters. Queen of Wands. 10 of Pentacles. There's the family going off. Here's the Sun card. Four of feathers, so 4 of swords. Here's the Lover's card. So pretty. The Moon card with the lunar moth there in the corner. And I love this Strength card. It's different. It's a different take on this Strength card. And finally, the World. Last but not least is the 5th tarot by Martienne and Teresina Bacons. And it's called the 5th tarot because it has a 5th suit. So it includes a 5th suit. I think they call it Lotus. I'm not sure. It's for spirit or ether. And this deck, again, it's not all sweetness in life, but I've turned to it when I've been troubled or seeking solace. And I find this deck to be really quite lovely. So here we see the 4 of Lotus. This is the Seeker of Shells. So shells is water or cups. What a beautiful card. I love any card that shows the moon shining on the water like this. Beautiful. Here's the Star card. 7 of Shells. They call it Possibilities. This is the Sun card with the sunflowers and the sun in the crop circle. Seeker of Stones, so this is the Pentacles. 2 of Lotus. They call this Empathy. I pulled this one out because it's community, and I thought, well, yeah, we need to come together in our online community and support each other and make lots of videos so we can entertain each other while we're quarantined. This is one of my favorite cards of all time, any deck, anytime. I just adore this. It's the 6 of Stones, so the 6 of Pentacles, and it's got roses and rose quartz. And I make a spray called Heal Your Heart Spray, and in it is the gem essence of rose quartz and the flower essence of Rosa rugosa and rose essential oil. That might be why I like this card so much. Here's the universe instead of the world. 5 of shells. And this is the 5 of feathers, and they call it joy. They've got hummingbirds. 10 of lotus. So you can see it's a lovely deck. Pretty artwork. This is 8 of stones, and it does talk in the book about the healing power of turquoise. And I have a few more here. 3. That's the 3 of cups. Again, I pulled out the 3 of swords because, again, it's a little bit of a different take than the Rider-Waite-Smith. And I think this book is really great. If you go to the cards, it's got, it talks about the suit that the card is from and the artwork on the card, what it symbolizes, and then it goes into the divinatory meaning, and then it has applications. So this one I just flipped open to was 1 of feathers. And so it says application. Study the mating, feeding, nesting habits, and flight patterns of the eagle, because it has an eagle on. And do a meditation. Soar and ride like an eagle, become an eagle. Use frankincense essential oil to connect with the higher realms. Frankincense can connect the crown chakra back to the root chakra so that we remain grounded even when we soar. In Tai Chi, use the postures like reach the heavens, where one crouches, touches the earth, and then fully stretches out on tiptoes. Use the eagle posture in yoga for focus. So it has applications for each card, and I think that's a really nice thing to add in, because when you read with the cards, or you pull a card and you think about the meaning, it's nice, it's helpful, it's great, but to have a way to apply it and kind of bring it into action, I think is even better. So there you have it. There's some of my hug decks, and I will be using all of them over the next few weeks. And so those of you who follow me on Instagram will be seeing a lot of these decks, as I said, over the next few weeks. Be well, people, and think of the greater good during this time of global crisis. It's time for us to shelter in, and not just for our own protection, but for the protection of others. So again, be well, sending love and healing and light to all.